X Nation, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. As we continue our trading with a purpose series, we're going to go ahead and take a look at pound JPY now. Last video we took a look at pound USD, so let's move over to pound JPY. So the updated chart is essentially we're coming off a new peak formation high and we have created a failed reset. So why is this? Well, you can see essentially price cleared the previous high, the previous peak formation high. So initially I actually had it as a reset. What happened? Well, obviously you can see what happens is essentially we went up and basically grabbed all of the orders that were literally just sitting above all of these highs here. And as soon as we grabbed them, we immediately just dumped. So obviously anytime that we have that kind of behavior, we know they're just grabbing orders and then reversing. So as of right now, we are looking for sells on pound JPY. Now, very important factor to consider as well is this is a failed reset because obviously we don't have enough for a full cycle. So from here to here where the reversal happened, 400 pips. You can see here the average is about 210 or so, so we know that we're basically right about 2 times ADR. We're nowhere near a full cycle. So with that being said, we're looking for sells. The first target always, whenever we have a failed reset, is literally the failed reset, because that's going to be the first area where orders are going to be sitting. And then second area you'd be looking at down here and then here. So we would have some, longer targets or whatever, but the first target really is going to be 192,000, essentially where the failed reset is. Now, if we take a look at it from a daily perspective, you can see essentially what happened, a big railroad track here on the daily time frame. This essentially is what allowed them to grab orders that were sitting above all these previous highs. So now the target again is going to be right around the 192 area. I like to just use even numbers because that's what price is always going to be attracted to, is even numbers. 192,000, 192 500s, 250s, 500s, 750s, and 00s. So just to keep it simple, 192,000 would be the eventual target for me. So if you look at it from a daily perspective, just to give you some clarity here, we're looking for prices to go into this area. After that, they're going to be going into this area. After that, into this area. Again, it's just it literally goes by steps. So think of all of these areas here, all of these lows here on the daily as literally like miniature train stops. And the train is going down to the train station and it's either going to stop and reverse or just keep going. Okay, it's just look at it as simple as that. But for right now, that's what we're looking for. I think that if we were to close on the daily, okay, if we were to close on the daily below 192,000, and or really below this daily low here, that could really indicate a change of trend for me, to where we could now start to think about areas like 191 500 or even 189 750 or so, give or take. Basically, it would just allow me to consider these other lows here as a more long-term possible move. All right, so that is where we are on pound JPY. Let's go ahead and take a look at the other pairs. Obviously, gold is coming off a reset and looking for higher prices. Now, obviously, because we're coming off a reset, we've already created a new higher high on gold. So at some point, it is going to retrace or consolidate, kind of like what it's doing here. The consolidations on gold are either going to be one of two things. It's either going to be a small move like this, where it just consolidates and then resets and goes higher, or it could be moves like this, where you get a pretty decent pullback to actually give us a full cycle. But eventually, we just end up going higher. Gold is always pretty much going to be going higher. It's always in an uptrend. If you look at the daily, monthly, weekly charts, it's always in an uptrend. So why would you think any long-term short would work on gold? All right, so just please keep that in mind. Yes, it's going to have its retracements. That's perfectly fine. That's normal. That's what we want in order to get into buys on gold. But you can look at the weekly, the monthly. It's all the same, guys. All right. So long term, you're always going to be looking for buys on gold. Yes, you're going to have retracements. In those, when you have those retracements on gold, that is the best opportunity to start looking for buy setups, obviously, in order to get this portion of the next leg, right? So to grab this portion of the next leg. If we take a look on a 15-minute chart and go back to that specific time of that retracement, this retracement here on the reset, okay, here's where essentially you could have gotten a trade, right? This right here was a type 3 setup. I mean, this is pretty damn good type 3 setup here with a railroad track that you could have gotten in. If you would have gotten into this trade, okay, and let's just say you would have held it, all right, if you would have held this trade, do you know how far up, what kind of massive trade this would be for you? This is right at the bottom here of the reset. If you know that gold eventually goes higher, right? I mean, this is a massive trade. If we go back, look at this. What are we talking about? It's like stupid. It's like 32 to 1. Like it's ridiculous. Okay? It's honestly ridiculous. The question you got to ask yourself honestly is, do you have, what it takes to actually hold this throughout this entire time? Honestly, I think a lot of people try to trade gold, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of times most traders fail. Gold is very aggressive, and man, it could eat traders up alive. So I always tell people, like, the easiest thing that you could do with gold, honestly, is literally just invest in gold. Just buy like a gold ETF, okay, and just put money into it every paycheck or something like that. And I mean, clearly you can see by the monthly, weekly chart that, I mean, come on, you're not going to go too bad on investing on some gold every time that it makes a major pullback. You have to think about this. Every time something happens in the economy, and investors and traders, they get freaked out, the economy gets freaked out, what is the first thing that you see? The majority of the time, people put their money in gold. That's like a safe haven. That's a safety net for people. So look at what's happened ever since. If we go back to the beginning of when Trump took office here. Look, right here. What has gold done ever since Trump has been in office? It's rallied 15% since the beginning of the year. There are day traders that don't make 15% in a year. If you just invest it, instead of trying to trade it, you'd be up 15%. Do yourself a favor, like, don't get into this mindset that you have to trade, you have to be a trader. You don't have to be a trader. The percentages of actual successful traders are like less than 5%. The best thing that you can do, if gold is not a pair that's good to you in the sense of trading wise, is just invest in it. Buy a gold ETF or buy physical gold, whichever one you want. But just do yourself a favor and do yourself a good service by, man, just recognize when something is just not working for you, and then find a different way that you could potentially get something good out of it. And you, as a person, if you identify yourself as the fact that, hey, you know what, I may not be that good in gold, I may be better at whatever, pound JPY or pound USD or whatever, you can still make absolutely great gains on gold by just investing in it. Recognize the fact that, man, if I'm just continuously losing on these particular asset classes, that is probably just not an asset class that you should be trading. All right, looking at NAS 100 now. I have it as either a failed reset or a reset. I did actually have it as a reset originally because obviously it broke the previous peak formation low. And then we had a big pullback here. I was like, okay, well, what's happening here? Are we possibly grabbing orders and then moving higher? So I put it back to a failed reset. So I'm just waiting for either price to continue to break the 18,800 mark or not. I'm not in a hurry. I know that if it were to break the 1800 and become a reset, I know we're headed basically to 18,250 would be the next mark for me. Okay, but again, for me, I'd rather just wait it out and see what happens. Looking at it from a weekly and daily, you could see from a daily standpoint, it looks like it's obviously probably headed towards a reset. But again, Trump could say something and and that change altogether. So it's something definitely to keep an eye out on. Also, you got to consider the fact that Trump is speaking today. I think at 4 o'clock or something like that. He's speaking today. There's also non-farm payroll at the end of the week. So those things obviously are going to have probably an impact on this. So for me, it's just something that I'm willing to wait out on, just to make sure that you get the right directional bias. But regardless of whether you're waiting or not, okay, we know that if we are waiting, right, and once we get the confirmation, we'll know what to do after that. But let's just say that this does end up being a reset. Just by looking at the daily, okay, and the bigger time frame, I know that the next price that I would be targeting would be here, just by looking at the daily. All right, from there, this is what, 18,250, like I said before, and then from there you'd be looking at somewhere around 17,750. Those would be my next two targets if this ends up being a reset. If it does not end up being a reset, and let's say this creates another peak formation low, then to me it's simple, because now the new target essentially would be the failed reset, which is right around 2250. So 20250. And then from there, I'd go up to about 2600 and then 21000. So either way, whether it goes up or down, whether it gives me a reset or a failed reset, I have my targets on either direction. So I can care less which one it actually does. And that's the point. You should not care about, oh my God, whether I'm right or wrong or blah, 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 blah. That doesn't matter. Okay? What matters is having a clear direction, and most importantly, having a plan of where price is likely to go after you get that clear direction. That is where we are on NAS 100. So now we've gone over all of the actual pairs so far. So you have an update on where we stand on all four pairs. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and got some value out of it. As always, please remember to share, like, and comment, subscribe to the channel, and if you need any help, please consider joining FXN Plus. Until the next one, have a good one.